Most women believe a lie about men, and it's killing relationships. It's killing trust. It's killing hope. And it's the kind of belief that makes you stop trying, or even worse, to settle for someone who will never meet you at your level. You might even believe it right now. And the lie is that men don't want responsibility, that they don't want to commit, they don't want to grow, they don't want to show up. But what if that wasn't true? What if the real problem wasn't that men don't want responsibility, but that you've only met boys pretending to be men? Let's talk about this. Maybe you've spent your whole life looking for a man who will finally show up for you. Someone who doesn't leave you carrying the whole relationship on your back. Someone who doesn't fall apart the moment things get difficult. Someone who doesn't ghost, lie, shut down, or deflect the second that you ask for something real. And what you keep running into is either avoidant jerks who keep you at arm's length, or nice guys who say all the right things but collapse under pressure. No weight-bearing structure, no protection, no leadership, no peace for you. So eventually, you start to believe men just don't want responsibility. You might even tell yourself, maybe I'm too much. This is where a lot of women start to believe, maybe I just have to do it all myself. Maybe this is just what relationships and men are like. But deep down, be honest, you know something's not right. You're tired of babysitting. You're tired of building the whole relationship alone. You're tired of being the man in your own relationship. And it's making you question if real men even exist. If you're new here to the channel, I'm Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. I'm a former licensed psychotherapist and now attachment specialist, and I've spent over 16 years studying and learning and working with thousands of men and women to heal attachment issues, to rebuild trust, and to transform dysfunctional relationships into secure, thriving partnerships. And this issue we're talking about here today, this is one of the most dangerous myths I've ever seen destroy a woman's hope for lasting love. So by the end of this video here today, you're going to see men and yourself through an entirely different lens. You're going to understand a few key things that you need to build a better relationship. First, you're going to understand why so many men pull away from commitment, leadership, or intimacy, not because they don't care, but because they're trapped in a silent war inside themselves. You're going to understand what separates a grown man from a boy wearing the costume of adulthood, and how to spot the difference before you spend years, wasting your years, trying to fix him. You'll understand the hidden emotional wounds that turn otherwise capable men into avoidant partners, and why it's not your job to heal them. And most importantly, you'll know how to stop internalizing the rejection, the blame, and the confusion, and start forming real, lasting connection with a man who can actually meet you there. Now let's talk first about why it feels like men don't want responsibility. Why is this so common, especially today, and why do so many women believe this? Well, first, women perceive men largely as avoidant or lazy or immature. Early emotional wounds that happen in men tie responsibility to shame, guilt, or failure if they have attachment issues. And we do know that attachment issues are currently impacting about 67% of adults in the US right now. We know that about 67% of men, therefore, have attachment issues. When they're avoidant, they see responsibility as threatening, deadly, and dangerous. If they're anxiously attached, they see responsibility as something they will utterly fail at. It's a guaranteed destruction that's coming their way. If they're disorganized attachment style, flip a coin. Based on the day, they might feel one or both of those things, back and forth. A lot of men view responsibility as inevitable failure. Many of these men were raised to see responsibility even not as leadership, but as punishment. It's linked to cultural overcorrection. Men either became tyrants or dropped out completely from society. A long time ago, maybe 120 years ago, we lived in better relationship structures, let's just say, at the turn of the 1900s. But as life went on, a lot of bad things happened. A lot of men died. Whole generations of men were wiped out, in fact. Families moved from their family farm and their villages into the cities. We lost all of our safety nets that were driving men to be more responsible, but also helping them uplift that responsibility and be safe for their families and create safety. Men started working alone or dying. And a lot of men died or checked out and then ran away from their responsibility. This left generations of women raising themselves and raising their sons. 4 generations since then have come and gone of women understanding that they can't rely on men because men are dead or running away. Not all men, certainly. There's plenty of good, amazing, wonderful men out there who have not let the torch drop. But because of that cultural overcorrection, men today are either buckling down in an ugly caricature of what a man could be and being an angry tyrant in their family and over-controlling and domineering everybody, leading people to believe that those men are incapable of building families, which really they are, if that's what they're doing, or completely checking out and having their wife do everything. Generations of men raised by single moms have learned to simply step back and let the woman handle everything. And now a woman goes out and thinks she's getting a husband, but she actually takes on a teenage son. This is not okay. Okay? In modern relationships, this shows up as indecision, silence, shutdowns, either turning all responsibility over the woman completely and having her do everything, or controlling her and refusing to engage with her, refusing to commit in the right ways, and refusing to open up and bond appropriately, like a mature masculine man should be doing. But I want to be very clear here, okay? Most of these men, if they're ethically avoidant, anxiously attached, even disorganized, they don't usually actually hate responsibility. They've never been shown how to carry it without losing themselves. Avoidant men, for example, they think that taking on responsibility for others is doomed, that no one will ever try to be loyal to them or care for them or help them, that it is a failed gamble and they will always lose. Avoidance, it's self-protection, okay? I'm not defending it or even justifying it because I can't. But early male role models in their lives were supposed to teach them how to rise to responsibility. A lot of these men didn't have early male role models, or those male role models abandoned them. And they learned just the same that nobody will take responsibility. It's not just you that think men don't take responsibility. These men think that about their own fathers, many of them. Many of these associate responsibility with innate failure, and that creates emotional paralysis in adulthood. So they run away. Now, there is a test that manhood demands. You can't become a man just by aging into it. You don't become a man at 18 just because you grow up. Every culture on earth has had a rite of passage a man must face, and it involves a couple of things. One big thing it involves usually is emotional discipline, mastering and controlling his fear. It also involves taking his role in society, stepping forward, picking up commitment on purpose, being responsible, having expectations of the community that they put upon him. This is an absolute demand in just about every culture on the planet. And now, what do? Graduate high school? Get a diploma? Get a first job? Get kicked out of the house? Get a girlfriend? There is no rite of passage that even allows a man to take his role in society. In fact, society as a whole tends to reject men right now and spit on them. So men don't have a role to play. They don't even know what a man is supposed to do or be or how he acts. Taking responsibility actually is viewed as sexist and unkind and rude. So we have to redefine masculinity in the modern sense. Okay? What is the test of manhood we are all facing now? Well, here's one big component you have to understand is the beginning of manhood is mastering yourself completely. This is not an internet buzzword, mastering yourself, and I don't mean to sound like alpha red pill gurus out there, but mastering yourself means having emotional discipline. When you have emotions, and you will, you don't let them control you, and that includes fear, by the way. Anxiously attached men tend to fail this because they are always afraid and hoping someone else will rescue them from their fear. They don't know how to manage their nervous systems. They don't know how to contain their terror. They usually just fall into fawning, people-pleasing, and placating so that other people will rescue them from their own fear. And the friend zone was created for these men. Women find this completely unattractive because these men are providing no safety, no stability, and no predictability. The woman is forced entirely to be his mother inside this relationship. It's about as turned off as a woman can get. Avoidant men appear to pass this test, but ultimately fail. And this is where we get this concept that women prefer jerks when they don't. Women prefer men who at least have some signal of masculinity. Avoidant men master their skills, they master their finances, they might become their own boss or rise through the ranks pretty quick. They're able to push back on other people and have boundaries, and they know what they don't like, but ultimately they fail the test of manhood, not because they are bad, but because they don't master their own fear. They are so contained within their own fear that they dissociate from their feelings and run away from intimacy and closeness, basic human bonding. They can create some safety for women, but when the going gets really tough, these men pick up their backpack and disappear back into the forest, leaving that woman completely alone to manage on her own. Emotional labor is a real thing in a relationship. Emotional safety is another real thing. Modern relationships demand internal strength, and most men were never trained to have that internal strength. Most men were trained to please women, to be hyper accommodating, and to run away when things get scary. They fail the first test of manhood, which is personal sovereignty. Now, because they don't pass this test, they don't really become full men. So they can't take the second step into mature masculinity, which is the full embracing of responsibility through personal sovereignty. Why does masculinity exist in our species? Why do we care about masculinity at all? It's because the role of masculinity is to provide safety and predictability for others. To do that, he has to be sovereign over himself, especially over his own emotions, so he doesn't blow up, cry uncontrollably, or collapse in the face of a stress or crisis, but also so that he can manage himself and be safe and predictable so everyone around him has a calm nervous system, which allows them to then be super productive, safe, bonded, and move forward in life. A proper man is sovereign over himself and uses that sovereignty to serve the people he cares about, the people he chooses to serve. The real test is not even how much a man provides. It's whether he can stay grounded when other people are emotional, afraid, vulnerable, any of that. A man's nervous system is the real test at the end. Not how much money he makes or how dominant he is, but whether he can stay present in emotional chaos without shutting down, attacking, crying, running away, disappearing. And this is not to say that a man shouldn't cry occasionally, right? There are appropriate times. You can cry when you hold your first child. You can cry when you lose someone close to you. It is good to have emotions. But you don't let them overwhelm you so that you are sobbing uncontrollably on the ground in a way that frightens the people around you. You don't collapse into your rage and anger when someone inconveniences you. You don't run away in the night when someone texts you about their emotions and leave them hanging for 3 weeks at a time. I know that a lot of the people watching this show right now have had attachment issues for their entire life. That's why I want to invite every single one of you to check out my attachment repair program. It just might be the jump that you need to go from insecurely attached and lonely and frustrated to fully secure, connected, and bonded in a great relationship like nothing you've ever felt before. Check out my website, adamlanesmith.com, for the attachment repair program. I'll say it this way. If a man's masculinity shatters and he becomes hyper-emotional and fearful the moment a woman cries or disagrees, that wasn't real masculinity to begin with. It was a performance. The real masculine test is nervous system control, period. Now, unfortunately, culture taught women to chase a version of masculinity that doesn't exist. The media sells women the concept of the alpha male who's damaged, stoic, powerful, confident, but with an absolute massive character flaw of completely failing the test of masculinity because he runs away from his emotions. And I can save him. It leaves out all the emotional training that a man must have. Because most women today also have significant attachment issues, and they're looking to rescue and save a man so he'll be so grateful that he'll stay with her. That's not how this works. I want to be clear here. Men don't fail their test because they're bad people. They don't even fail their test because they can't pass it. They usually fail their test because they were never prepared adequately. And women don't know that men need a test. They just know that at some point a man goes from a boy to a man, and there's a big question mark about what causes that. And the woman says, if I just love him enough, he'll be so inspired that he'll just become a man. But she actually overcomforts him so that he never faces the fear that would actually shift him into manhood. I'm going to break down this toxic alpha beta narrative, right? The red pill groups, they love to use this. You're either alpha or you're beta. If you're beta, you take care of people's feelings. You're kind of pathetic. You think everything's okay. You trust women. What a loser. If you're an alpha man, well, list all the avoidant traits of I'm incapable of love, I run away in fear, and I yell and scream at other people to get my way. Alpha. The damage done is overwhelming because what you've done is entirely negate the dominant, mature man who is self-sovereign, but truly uses that to nurture and care for the family and the people around him, who truly humbles himself to care for them. This is the absolute essence of masculinity. And this is the type of man most women today have never seen. Now, what's happening on the other side? Well, as men are failing to be men and failing to provide safety, stability, predictability, women can rise to provide their own safety and stability, but it burns out their nervous systems horrifically to have to do so. It prevents them from unlocking the more feminine attributes they have that nurture them and fulfill them, and then nurture everyone around them. So because men are not taking the test of manhood and are failing it by default, both alpha and beta men, all women everywhere have to be a man, and it destroys you. Massive infertility problems, massive estrogen and hormonal imbalances, okay? Chronic pain. Things like fibromyalgia have a much higher incidence for women who have to be in their masculine, which is another way of saying in my sympathetic nervous system, stress system all the time, by the way, being in your masculine, for the people coming here from Instagram and TikTok, right? I'm in my masculine, you're in your sympathetic nervous system and stressed out all the time. That's what that is. You are being your own man. You shouldn't have to. Okay. Autoimmune disorders flare up massively at this point. Incidences of reproductive cancers, especially for women, headaches, chronic migraines, sleeplessness, that insomnia, feeling unloved, feeling uncared for, feeling unsafe, always, 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 everywhere feeling unsafe, and then taking it for granted that you will always feel unsafe and no one will ever help you. This is the world without mature masculine men. This is the world we live in. This is why women believe that men don't want responsibility. Okay? Most women out there, your model of masculinity was your father who failed. Think of all the ways he failed you. As you're watching this video right now, think of all the ways your father didn't embody everything I'm talking about. Now, most men out there were never trained for the role that they were supposed to step into. Maybe you're with such a man right now, and you're both sitting there in the fallout, in the rubble, blaming yourselves, wondering when the real life is going to start, how you're going to get past this. Maybe, ladies, right now, you're trying to love him into manhood. I know that a lot of the people watching this show right now have had attachment issues for their entire life. That's why I want to invite every single one of you to check out my attachment repair program. It just might be the jump that you need to go from insecurely attached and lonely and frustrated to fully secure, connected, and bonded in a great relationship like nothing you've ever felt before. Check out my website, adamlanesmith.com, for the attachment repair program. Now, if you're watching this really quick and you're realizing, wow, we've both been lied to, but I want to fix this, and you want to stop repeating these patterns, we should talk. Okay. My team and I have private consults with couples where we show you exactly how to break these loops and rebuild with a secure foundation. He can pass that test of masculinity and you can enter your full feminine self and you can thrive together the way you're supposed to be. If you need that work, Click the link down below in the description. Let's get in contact, or you can email me at support@adamlanesmith.com. Let's talk about how you can begin this process together. Now let's talk about what science says about real men. Because up till now, you might say, Adam, this is nice theory. That's cool. Yeah, it's fun to hear about, but what does this really mean? Okay, understood. Let's talk about attachment science and neurobiology. What makes a secure man scientifically and specifically? Let's talk first about nervous system regulation, okay? In a man who is afraid all the time, his amygdala, the fear center of the brain, is programmed to perceive many things as dangerous, especially emotional intimacy, closeness, bonding, openness, vulnerability, responsibility. These things activate his amygdala, and if it's pushed enough, bypasses the logic center of his brain, the prefrontal cortex, to reroute over to the limbic system. Fight, flight, fawn, freeze. I will run away. I will yell and scream and fight. I will fawn and people please and approval seek. Or I will completely freeze solid and just stare at you. Okay? Neurobiologically, if a man is not resolving the traumas he experiences, that's what happens. But a man who passes his test is a man who masters his nervous system with regulation. That's all it means. When I am pushed, I stay strong. I recognize my signs. I breathe. I manage it. I come down out of sympathetic nervous system, out of fight, flight, fawn, freeze. I restore my prefrontal cortex, and I make decisions from a calm brain. I don't allow myself to make decisions from an anxious brain or emotional or avoidant, any of that. I make decisions calmly. And then, if I don't stay calm, I pause, I breathe, I regulate. I can even co-regulate, maybe with a dear friend, or maybe with my partner, maybe with a mentor. I seek people out, I get control. I do not make irrational decisions based on emotions or fear. Every decision comes from calm, logic, goals, principles, ethics. I also can co-regulate with others. When they are scared, I understand it. I don't collapse into their feelings or get threatened by them. I help them. I comfort them. I help them breathe. I help them manage. They're settled. Now we can work together. You are safe with me and my emotions. You are also safe with me and your emotions. Big hormonal differences also for mature men. Insecurely attached men experience a flood of cortisol and stress through their body when someone else comes to them with a problem, with emotions, with challenges, with anything. Healthy, secure men stay calm. Then they step in and someone else is struggling. They actually experience an upsurge of testosterone. They help that other person. It releases a flood of vasopressin, which is a bonding hormone when we solve problems with people. We release serotonin, satisfaction, that we have guided and helped someone we care about. And we calm their nervous system and work with them to build something better. Ladies, if you've ever seen a good father really care for his child and you were like, wow, why is that such a turn on? If you've ever seen a man have a calm boundary with somebody and pause that person and stop them, but be calm instead of angry, and he has that authority, and you're like, wow, why does that make me feel this way? Why do I feel so good watching this? You're watching a mature, masculine man. Now, the difference is that he's not a boy. He's not a juvenile either, right? He's not stuck in between. Imagine being with a man who can handle your emotions peacefully and respectfully. You come to him, you're upset, and he goes, hey, let's pause for a sec. You look really upset. Do you need a hug? Okay. Breathe. Take a breath. It's okay. Hey, you've got some time. You don't have to rush. Just take a breath. Let's get through this. Cool. Tell me what's going on. In 2 or 3 sentences, take your time. 2 or 3 sentences, tell me what's the problem. Okay. This is what I think I'm hearing, right? He doesn't take it personally either. He just listens. This is what I think I'm hearing. Okay. Well, tell me a little bit about what it would take to not feel that way anymore. What would help you feel better? Can you think of anything? If not, I got a couple solutions. All right. Well, let's try this. Okay. We both think this might work. Let's give it a shot. Why don't we try that for a couple of weeks? Why don't we talk about it then in a couple of weeks? Set a reminder on your phone. Come back. We'll address it and we'll make sure it's working. If it's not, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. This is how he manages your emotions calmly, respectfully. This is also how he manages his emotions. Hey, can I talk to you about something? You have 10 minutes? There's this concern I've had lately. I need your help resolving it. Okay, let's get it covered. Here's what I'm seeing. Tell me your side of it. What's going on? Okay. Well, let me be clear. Here's what I'm seeing. I'm glad that you shared that context. Now I understand where you're coming from. Here's what I'd like us to do different going forward so that we can hit this target together. Sound good? Amazing. Thank you. Do you need anything from me for you to make that happen? No? Cool? Okay, awesome. Can we talk about this again in 2-3 weeks? Make sure everything's going good. Wonderful. Thank you. That's how a mature masculine man resolves issues with you. This is the difference, and it's not fake. It's not him pretending. It's not just because you had sex the night before, so he's kind of nice to you. This is him really working with you, even when he's stressed out. Now imagine the long-term effect on a relationship from that point. Imagine day one, if you had that level of safety, connection, emotional bonding, and certainty that he was there. And everything you did would be handled calmly and peacefully together. Imagine the trajectory of that relationship and how wildly different that would be. Ladies, imagine the difference in you. Imagine being with that man for 10 years, and that was your experience every time for 10 years. Who would you be? Now, again, what's incredible is when a man does this, he receives biochemical rewards. Dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, vasopressin, GABA. His stress goes down after the event, and he feels bonded to you. He's rewarded for doing this. It's not fake. I helped my family today. I feel pretty good. Life feels good. That's the reward. And that's mature masculinity. It's what we need. It's not alpha, not beta, mature masculine. Now, I'm going to pause for a second, okay? Most women have never seen that. They've never experienced that. Their father wasn't that way. None of their boyfriends have been that way. Their first boyfriend was probably the opposite of that and really burned them for life. They've had a husband or two, and their husbands were certainly not like that. Nothing was like that. This is why women have had to be that for themselves and be their own man. Now, the cost of believing that no man will ever do this is massive. Believing the lie that no man anywhere ever wants to become this causes women to pick emotionally unavailable men. You settle for what's less because you don't know that that's even on the market. You abandon yourself while you're trying to earn love from men who aren't giving you this. You're going with a juvenile boy who happens to be 45 years old, hoping that if you give him enough love and affection while walking on eggshells, he will somehow massively become a man, magically one day, because he'll be so inspired. And it's not how it works. This causes a lot of women to give up on their dreams of partnership or motherhood. The research shows that of women who don't have children, about 90% of them didn't plan to not have children. They never felt safe or settled enough or had a partner who helped them feel like they were ready. 90% of women who don't have children, I will say, it's because there are not enough mature masculine men to help them understand the joy that can come with not having to be the man. A lot of women just fawn all over men that don't deserve them. And therefore, women are oscillating back and forth between massively over-functioning and burned out resentment over and over and over. Emotionally, physically, spiritually, relationally, women are burned out. And when you're burned out, you stop asking. You stop hoping. You stop dreaming. Especially dreaming of the partnership that you've always wanted. Instead of living your love story, you start surviving your relationship. Okay? I have worked with so many women who've come to me in their 40s, 50s, even 60s and 70s. Oldest one was in her 70s and had never once met a man like this. These men do exist. They are out there. Many of them are becoming these men. There are so many men learning from here, my material, in my coaching, in my channels, everywhere, but all over the world, people are waking up. A lot of men are tired of being boys because they are biochemically punished for it. Men who don't pass their testhood into manhood are punished. They hate their life. They can't stand looking in the mirror. Most of them are not failing their test because they fail it. They fail it because they never take it, or they were never trained to take it. The men who step forward and pass it, they become something very, very different. So ladies, I know here on this channel, I've seen a lot of your comments telling me that you think I am encouraging women to go out and partner with men that have to just be mothered. I'm not. I don't think a woman should invest with a man who hasn't passed his test of manhood. I don't think avoidant men who stay avoidant have passed their test yet. That's not an insult, by the way, but he hasn't mastered his nervous system, so he's not ready to really say he's sovereign over himself. He is always afraid and always collapsing into it. And he's certainly not ready to really take on the responsibility of those around him. Now me, I've been married for 17 years. I have 5 children with my loving, beautiful wife. I am not here to tell you that everything will be perfect, but I am here to tell you that a man only finds his fulfillment when he takes up responsibility. Whether that's responsibility in a family, or responsibility in an organization, or responsibility for students and people he mentors, whatever it may be, a man only finds his fulfillment in truly serving the next generation and building his legacy of human beings. And that doesn't mean you use them like objects. You can't. It means stepping into the fullness of leadership, of kindness, of service, all drawn from a place of sovereignty over self. This is my call to all men who I know are watching this video. If you're not this kind of man yet, you can become it. But you're not going to do it by thinking. You're not going to do it by reading one more book. You're not going to do it by just white-knuckling it and choosing not to be scared. You're going to do it by fixing your nervous system and understanding your challenges, by choosing to push beyond it, by learning the emotional bonding skills and leadership skills that you need to truly care for others. You're going to master it by finding other men who inspire you or even just kick your butt if you step backwards instead of forwards. You hold accountability with each other. And you move forward with pride, but really with self-mastery. It is time to become men. It is time to take responsibility. It is time to step into the role you were always made for. And ladies out there, I want to be very clear. I don't want you investing with a man who is not this. If you're investing with a man where you have to mother him and be the man for him because he's a teenager, even if he's 45 or 50, you are not investing properly. You are wasting your years on somebody who is not doing his job and will not as long as you comfort him. He needs hardship, he needs a test, and he needs to pass it. It's the only answer forward. Now, ladies, I want to be very, very clear. If you've ever been told that your expectations for this are too high, or that you're asking for too much for a man to be mature and take responsibility, I want you to hear this. You are not too much. You've just been surrounded by men who were not trained or supported, okay? Or men who didn't understand how to meet you where you are. And that's not your fault. But it is your responsibility to stop making caretaking your identity. You are not here on this earth to be mothers to grown men. It's not how it works. Now after watching this video, you know the truth. If you never understood mature masculinity before, now you do. Mature masculinity exists. And these men embrace responsibility because they are rewarded for it and they desire it. They actually need responsibility to find their fulfillment. Emotional maturity is real. And you deserve to be loved by someone who isn't scared of commitment, someone who welcomes it, someone who makes you feel safe. Now, if this video spoke to you, maybe you're a woman who's ready to stop attracting men who leave you carrying the weight. Or maybe you're a man watching this saying, I need to grow. I need to pass my test. I invite you to take the next step. Book a strategy session with my team. There's a link down in the description below. We're going to uncover the root patterns holding you back. I'm going to show you the exact path that we've used to help hundreds of people to go from emotional burnout to secure love. The link is down below in this video, down in the description. You don't have to keep surviving in your relationships. You can thrive in them. You can build something that finally works. Last note here to all the women watching, you are not crazy. You're not asking for too much. You're not broken. You were simply taught to expect very little and to carry too much. And now that you see the difference between men and boys, now that you see the line and the test, you can finally stop chasing those who will never catch up. Okay? There are good men out there, more of them every day, who are recovering from their attachment issues and passing their tests. Men who crave responsibility, men who protect what they love. And the second you stop settling for less, you will start attracting these men. You're closer than you think, and this is the first step forward. I'm Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. Thank you for sharing your time with me. While you're here, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and come to my next live stream. I'll see you there.